cut my hours so I work my scheduled hours. I work for a large grocery chain. Recently they have been cutting hours to meet budgets but expect us to figure out how to get the same amount of work done in less time. The main issue with how they cut hours is that they don't take into account the delivery schedules. On Fridays I cover the diary department. Normally an 8-hour shift because we get a delivery and it can come in at any point within a 4-hour window. Some days it's in right when I start, but most days not until after my lunch. In an attempt to save hours they have been cutting my shift in half. But the morning half, and so I've been staying over with permission from the dairy manager to get the work done. A few weeks ago a lower-level manager got mad at me for staying late and ignoring her changes to the schedule. I was fed up at this point. Went from 3,538 hours a week to 28. So I said okay and planned to work whatever the schedule said the next week. I made sure to tell the dairy manager I would only work my scheduled hours and got his okay. The Friday came and I was scheduled 4 hours. I came in and worked my 4 hours. The delivery came in and I placed it in the cooler. I had 30 minutes to put out what I could. I left 4 pallets of goods for the Saturday guy and walked out right on time. The next day I came in to find the Saturday guy in a complete panic because he never has that much work to do. He's very lazy. I knew I had an easy day in my other department, so I let them know I was gonna help in dairy. I then walked into the manager's office and offered to help in dairy and he was elated. Apparently they had no one to put eggs and milk on the shelf the day before and had run out, and the Saturday guy was so behind. I got a pat on the back for my go-getter attitude. Later the assistant manager asked me about leaving early and I explained what happened with the other manager, to which I was told to ignore her from then on out and just work my 8 hours. I was very glad to comply with that, and since then my hours have increased every week. Scheduling staff for the least, but expecting the most, and then some. I call it the Sears effect. If you cut hours and fire employees you save money. Think of all the money you'd save if you fired everybody. I love it how middle management tends to ignore common sense and reason in favor of their power. Tripping bull is it. The middle management breed is by far some of the dumbest people on the planet. They are on the same level with the politicians in range and scope of incompetence and stupidity. Ooh, the diary department. Scandalous. If you have to tell workers to ignore a manager, you need to replace that manager. Hooray! I saved $438 in labor this year. What about the $100,000 in rotten food and angry customers we lost because of the lack of people working? I saved $438 in labor this year. When the mid-tier managers get to their heads that they can run the place like their own little kingdom, and most of the time there is much huffing and puffing like someone at their defiant age, until the uppers have set them to their place. If this is the US, there's also the distinct possibility of not having to pay for insurance for you. So they are definitely motivated to decrease your hours. Something that I would consider if you want to stretch this malicious compliance further. Keep the reduced schedule, but see about going on partial unemployment. It applies if you are in the US and may depend on the state. But the after Christmas slump had everyone getting their hours cut. I was down to 28 hours from 40. I used partial unemployment to supplement my reduced hours. Way back when, during the height of the Great Recession of 2007-2008, the layoff slips would come out on Thursday, the last day of our work week. It turned into our biggest sick day. People would just refuse to come in on that day, thinking they could not be laid off if they didn't. That was the year managers' bonuses were changed to being based on much money they could save the company. I bet they would make budget a lot easier by cutting out middle management idiots. This is the way. Never try to cover up mistakes for people who won't reward you for doing so. Let them suffer the consequences and then come to their senses. This is about keeping your hours below 32 per week. Less than 32 employees are considered part-time and have less rights. My biggest concern reading this story is whether they're using these shenanigans to reduce your benefits, i.e. you're at 28 official hours. So only part-time benefits. But you end up working full-time hours. Is that the case here? Dairy is hard work. One of the most difficult in a grocery store. Freight every day. Constant rotation. Eggs are the worst, and stocking a couple hundred gallons of milk. Easily an 8-hour shift at my local stores. I imagine the dairy department gets really busy this time of year too. Smirk. Seriously though, we'll done you. Sometimes you have to let things break before people finally take notice. Brainiosity applied. Maliciously complied. This is the way. Side note: rotation would have been easier. That explains my spoiled dairy product spot. A manager that puts the anal in analytics. Who knew?
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.